This is the Surly Grognards for September 3rd, 2018. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson.
Hello.
Episode 200.
We'll mark this by treating it like every other episode.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We have a topic.
Which is increasingly less common than as we've gone on.
And we started out making sure we had an actual topic every week. Then we kind of, would occasionally sort of say, we'll talk about what we've been up to. We'll just sort of shoot the shit every now and then. Then that sort of became the norm.
Yeah.
Then for a while we had a long string of like brainstorming episodes, and yeah. But we do have a topic this week, which we will get to in a minute. I do want to start things off talking briefly about what we've been up to.
Okay.
In terms of gaming and nerdery and shit. I haven't been up to much new. The main thing I've started doing is I did get a copy, not a new copy, well, technically it is a new copy, but whatever, of These Are the Voyages, which is a compilation of adventures for the Star Trek Adventures RPG.
Hooray!
So, mostly as a way to sort of read through it, see how adventures are structured for the system, and as maybe sort of, maybe to jostle my brain a bit to get out of the stupid writer's block I've had for the past 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is.
A significant amount of time, but this is one of your longer ones.
Mm-hmm.
But with luck.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Soon I'll be arguing with Word over the nature of honor as we get shot at by Romulans.
But yeah, in worst case, I might just run some of the adventures from there. I read the synopses for each of the adventures. Some of them sound pretty interesting, honestly.
Cool.
They all feel Star Trek-y, at least by the synopses.
Excellent.
Several involve the Romulans. I know you're shocked.
I am. I'm amazed.
So I picked that up. I'm probably going to pick up the Beta Quadrant Source book and the Operations book at some point, but I don't know when. Other than that, I've been playing some Warframe. Going to be starting up. I'm planning this week to be starting up playing Yakuza 0. Because I got that from my brother. Gave me a copy of that for my birthday, and I've been wanting to play that for a while.
Cool.
And Yakuza Kiwami, which is the remake of the first Yakuza game, is coming out on PC sometime in the near future also, so yay.
You say that, and I think Yakuza Kiwami, and it's just like, now I have Hello Kitty shaking people down for money. I'm aware that Yakuza games, this is not impossible.
This is not impossible, no! Super Eye Patch Wolf did a phenomenal video on the Yakuza series, which I cannot recommend enough. Actually, I can't recommend you Super Eye Patch Wolf's videos enough, period. He does great work.
Yeah, he really does. I've enjoyed most of his stuff, even on subjects I don't particularly care about.
Yeah, even if I don't care about it, I find interesting. His and stuff I do care about, I find interesting. Like, his video on wrestling's really good. But yeah, if you haven't watched his videos, check them out. He's real good. Other than that, I did finally finished watching Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale online.
I also finished that. It was
not bad.
It wasn't bad. It definitely didn't deserve all the praise it was getting from the anime sphere, I guess you could call it.
I think that was mostly, it was a case of such low expectations that it exceeded.
Yes.
Because, it's a Sword Art Online property that didn't suck. It was fine.
Yeah, and I've got issues with the last couple episodes. Mostly
I would agree,
you
actually.
really didn't need that shit.
No.
The stakes were fine. You didn't need to add that. Why would you do that?
Because Sword Art Online, there had to be a death game involved somehow.
Yeah.
It was just dumb. Hey, Missile Knight, yeah. But yeah, no, it was definitely, it was a solid show. It wasn't great, but it was solid. It did It did make me sort of pine for and then go and rewatch Girls in Panzer, uh, which covers
cute things with heavy military equipment.
Yep, except better in virtually every conceivable way.
Well, yeah, they had a mouse in the end.
Also had better. The battles were better. Were tactically more interesting. Like they were actually tactically interesting.
I don't know. There's something about going. So I've got these grenade launchers. If you want to be my spotter, we could just shell the fuck out of those guys.
That was
okay.
Good. I'm not denying that I wanted more of that. I wanted more of that. Those two are awesome together, but anyways. But yeah, it was fine. And I've been watching Hanabado, which is this new badminton series, which is all kinds of. I wish it was better. Because it's good, and I wish it was better. I need to get back and finish Hanamatsuri also.
That's the psychic girl in Yakuza, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta finich that. That was hilarious.
It's hilarious and well done, and I gotta get back to it.
Just the faces in it. Holy shit!
Oh my god, it's so good. But yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. What have you been up to?
Not a lot. Started replaying. Not replaying. So started back up in not Sword Art Online, Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm-hmm.
Very different in that it's good. Largely because I just wanted a fantasy game.
Yep.
And WoW hasn't done it for me since Burning Crusade.
Fair enough.
And, I get to be an orc Viking riding a bear. How is this not awesome?
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it does a good job of sort of... It's always done a good job of sort of recapturing that, just sort of wandering around, like, on your way to a quest and stumbling across another quest. And then another quest. And holy crap, wow, I'm way the fuck on the other side of the map from what I was originally doing.
It's Elder Scrolls Online's a really, really, really solid MMO.
I enjoy the combat system. Yeah.
Also, you get to be an orc Viking riding a bear. I mean...
Yeah, holy shit.
I can't argue your point, and I'm not the world's biggest orc fan.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Vikings and bears, so,
Yeah. The biggest issue I have with it is I go and make another class, and I'm like... It'll be a lot more fun. This is a Dragon Knight.
I actually like most of the classes for the most part, but yeah, I could see why you'd feel that way.
It's just the Dragon Knight happens to push all my buttons.
Right.
So,
honestly, my only real problem with Elder Scrolls Online is that the enemy's level scale, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And it has the unfortunate drawback that you never feel like you're progressing as much as I'd like to. Like, you do feel more powerful, but like going back to the early areas, you fight stuff and it still takes a while, and it's like,
I don't mind that so much, honestly.
It's one of those. It's one of my minor. It's a very minor, very minor pet peeve of mine that I like not feel. That sort of thing makes me feel like I'm not actually progressing sometimes, and that is a problem in RPGs for me.
I totally grok that. It's just I like being able to go back and do quests that I skipped out on or just missed.
Sure.
Or just go back to an area because I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And not feel like I'm accidentally stepping in other people's sandcastles.
Sure, and I get that. And if it would be less of a problem if more of the game was instanced.
Right. I like that.
I know, I get it. I actually like. I didn't say I want all of the game instance. I wanted some more instancing than it has. It doesn't have enough, in my opinion.
I can kind of see that.
Like, I don't know. It's I find that games that are completely open world always just end up. I always end up getting annoyed with them. Especially when you start getting into dungeons that are open. Yeah,
no, I totally grok that. Not having the different dungeons and whatnot be instances.
Some of the dungeons are instanced.
Yeah,
just
and
not
some of them
nearly
aren't.
enough of them.
Yeah.
Again, I don't mind there being public dungeons. It's just that the vast majority of them are.
Yeah.
So it means I go in and they're like, there are 20 people zooming through, killing everything, and I'm like, okay, fine.
At the
I don't
same
know.
time, the Cold Harbor Anchors public quest
Hmm.
hubs are friggin' awesome. As these as giant rent in the sky opens up, hooked chains descend onto an altar, and you have to fend off swarms of demons before you can pop the chains off.
Yep.
Which is just cool.
Mm-hmm. I wish there was a bit more variety in them, but other than that, they're really, really cool. No, ESO is a great game. I've got my complaints about it are minor and are quibbles.
Yeah. Probably my biggest complaint about it is the lack of a centralized auction system.
Oh God, I'd forgotten that. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh God,
that's my biggest problem with it because I have to find guild traders.
I was like,
it's very wildly, and I have no idea if I'm getting ripped off or getting a deal or what. Yeah.
Oh God, it felt like I'm wandering back into Dark Age of Camelot for player trading.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I did not like about. Actually, I didn't mind in Dark Age of Camelot until I discovered actual auction houses and other MMOs, and I'm like, wow, these are just better. I will say that the centralized auction houses does occasionally lead to, they both can lead to weird price manipulations in different ways.
Yes. Yeah, because you can always play the market no matter what. There's always some way to exploit that.
Yeah.
I remember back when I played WoW, one of my friends' dad was really into WoW, and but what he did, he loved playing the market. He loved buying up cheap materials and then
relisting them at a higher
price them or undercutting someone who's trying to horn in on what he considered his market and just really doing that kind of stuff.
Market PvP, yeah.
Yeah, basically. That was what he was all about. He was level 5 for 6 months because that's all he did.
And was probably richer than Croesus.
Yes. Someone gave him a loan for seed money for doing this once he realized he could do it, and then next day he paid them back with interest and we went to him for money.
Yeah, that's very, very. I've known people do that in multiple MMOs. I know how to do it. I've just never wanted to do it because that's actually literally, especially at the time I really thought about it, was literally tied. It was sort of adjacent to the job I actually had at the time.
Right.
Because I was working for a finance company and investment firm. So I was like, yeah. No, that's actually kind of too close to my job to want to have it part of my game. No.
It makes me want to claw my ass out. I'm glad there was someone else doing it for me. Because I was just I know how this works. I understand the theory. I could probably do it if I wanted to. But, fuck me. I just want to claw. I'm here to hit things with axes, not to manipulate the stock market.
Understandable, dude. Totally understandable. And I agree with you for the most part. But it's so yeah. So that's what we've been up to, I think, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we actually do have an actual topic for this week.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. As you can see from the title here, we're talking about sort of getting into tabletop gaming. So where does one start, basically? And the answer to that, unsurprisingly, it depends on what type of tabletop gaming you're getting into and what your thing. If you want to get into tabletop role playing, honestly, it's pretty easy.
I find it's kind of the opposite because you need to find a group of people to.
True. Well, yeah, you need to find some people to play with. So if you've got a group of people who are interested in checking it out, assuming that you have a group of people who are interested in checking it out.
Yeah.
Let's just start with that assumption. And that group doesn't have to be much more than 3 or 4 people, honestly.
Yeah. The biggest issue is that RPG groups tend to be, at least in my experience, kind of insular, and you need someone to vouch for you to get in there, which means you have to know a guy who knows a guy.
As a general rule of thumb. But you can always always check out local game stores or Roll20 Online has a really good forum for people who are new and want to get into playing RPGs online. So I'd really recommend checking that out. There are message boards for that stuff. But in terms of what you need to get going,
Yeah. The initial investment of actual.
I'm sort of more talking about. I'm not talking about like you need to find a group. That's obvious. But what do you need to have? And it's
books or PDF and some dice or dice rolling software.
Yep. So if you're playing online, you need the books, but that's about it. Like, so again, it depends on what game you're getting into and how much what you know. So, but like, what game should you start with is another good question. Honestly, I as much as I haven't played it yet, but from everything I've looked at and read about it, it sort of pains me to say it in a lot of ways. But honestly, pick up the current Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook.
Yeah, well, it's what's being supported. It's what most people are playing.
There's a lot of people playing 5th Ed D&D right now.
Yep.
I mean, a lot.
There's a lot of people playing it. It's supported, so because it's supported. It's fresh in people's minds, and everything I've heard from people who have actually played it is that it's good. So pick up 5th.
Yeah, seriously, just grab a copy of it. And like you can usually find it reasonably priced. Hang on, let me do a quick search here. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Let's take a look on Amazon for. I would personally recommend go to your local game store and pick it up there just to support your local game store.
I'll go to your local comic book store. Most of them have a couple copies kicking around.
But like the Player's Handbook list price is $50 hardcover. And you can get it for $28 on Amazon right now.
Yeah.
You could also pick up the starter set, which is like $20. The starter set comes with an adventure book, everything the Dungeon Master needs to get started, basically a truncated rule book for player characters level 1 to 5, some pre-gen characters, and some dice. It's a good way to get sort of to wet your teeth and see if this is for you and your group of friends. Again, like if you're playing with some people you really only need the traditional group is a game master and 4 to 6 other players.
But you can get by with less, and you can make it work with more.
Yeah. But yeah, you need one person who's willing to be the game master, and then ideally you want at least 3 players in my experience.
Yeah.
But less is fine. But yeah, like seriously, pick up a copy of the basic rules and check it out. Like the person running the game will need more books. They'll want the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Meister's Guide, and the Monster Manual also.
Yeah. That's the big 3.
Yeah.
So if you got don't split up their core rules that way.
No,
but it's been traditional for D&D since forever.
Yeah, pretty much since Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
If you're looking into other games, there are some other decent starter games, like games that are good for new players out there.
Yep.
As much as I'm not a big fan of some of the changes they've made, it's second edition Feng Shui is still a really good game for new role players. It's really pick up and go.
Yes.
Like you buy the rule book, someone decides to be the game master, everyone picks a character archetype. You have three D6s and a beverage of your choice, and you go and you do all sorts. You do crazy Hong Kong action movie shit.
There's also Pathfinder is basically D&D 3.75.
Yeah, Pathfinder is the new version of Pathfinder that has just entered public beta is different from what I understand, but
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I haven't been paying attention to it at all.
I haven't either. I just know that it's going to public
mostly because
beta.
I'm more interested in Starfinder, which means going into space and being a space skaven, which is the best thing.
If you want a less structured game, Fate is a really good system to check out. It's much less structured.
I have no idea what the World of Darkness is anymore. I haven't played it since the fucking 90s. Early 2000s, my mistake. But yeah, it's like It
There's
used
a
to be
new
a pretty good
there's a
fluffy
new
thing.
edition of Vampire out. I've been hearing some sketchy things about some of the people involved with it.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but I
Sketchy
don't.
like
I've
personal or sketchy like business?
uh the former more.
Mm.
Yeah, mm. uh
They're not both problematic, but
yeah. If you want sci-fi, Starfighter might be your cup of tea. Having read the rules for it, I will say the Star Trek Adventures game is very new player friendly and looks like a blast if you like Star Trek.
mm.
Like seriously, I'd really recommend checking that out. Um,
Edge of the Empire is a little wonky. That the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games,
mhm.
which are all the same game, they're all balanced against each other. It's mostly just like, are you a member of the Rebellion? Are you space scum? Are you a Jedi? That kind of deal.
Mhm.
My experience is that it's a little wonky getting used to their dice system, but
Right.
once you do, it flows pretty well. So,
But yeah, but seriously, get the basic books. You don't need not everyone needs a copy, really. You just need
no,
you need a couple of copies for the group if you're playing with your local friends. If you're planning on playing online with people you've met online, you probably want a copy for yourself.
yes,
Uh,
that's been my experience.
but like seriously, my biggest piece of advice is skim through the rules and just dive in and try to have fun.
Yeah. And if it's your first time running or playing, you're going to get shit wrong. That's a given.
And that's
But
fine.
that's fine. Like learn from the experience. I have never played a game where something didn't get house ruled within the first like 3 or 4 sessions.
Yeah.
Because someone just thinks this is
dumb.
dumb.
I have
Or this
I
is not complex enough. We're adding granularity by changing this.
right.
That kind of deal.
As a general rule of thumb, for me, when I run a system for the first time, I try to stick as close to the letter of the rules as possible,
Yep.
so that I can figure out what the game designer's intent was, and then after that, that's when I start house ruling.
Yep.
Because I don't like house ruling when I'm not certain what how the game actually plays. And I usually can't figure that out for a few. I will often be getting things wrong, and for the first few adventures, in my experience, oh, I missed this little tidbit in the rules. That actually changes a few things. So I don't want to house rule stuff until I've sorted all that shit out, so that all the moving pieces lock themselves into position in my mind, and then I can go, okay, now I know that if I change X, what that will affect.
Yeah, that's generally how I prefer to do it. But not everyone plays that way.
Oh,
So,
sure, and that's fine.
and-
There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
It's my issue comes when they just start changing the math before they know what's going on. I don't like that this is D10s. We're using D12s now. No,
What? No, don't do that. Why would you? Oh, no. I've known people who have done that.
Yeah, same here. And it's just no.
Why are you changing the base probability system of the game? Ah. But yeah, I definitely, I personally am a proponent of actually read the fucking rulebook, but
Yep.
I know there are people who prefer skimming and diving in. At a minimum, skim the rules. As my
Skim the rules, if it has a setting, dive headlong into the setting so you can get a feel for what kind of world you're getting into.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Their game. I have run games for people where they did not know the setting very well, and they've been fine. Usually because
Sure, and that can be fun also, as you just sort of discover it discover it yourself as your character discovers it.
I know if that was the case for Nick in both the Iron Kingdoms and the Slayers games. He was not particularly familiar with either setting at the start. He'd watched one episode of the Slayers and had us explain bits and pieces of Iron Kingdoms to him, and that was it.
Right.
And he did damn well with both because,
Yep. Well, Nick's good at his job.
Nick is an extremely good role player.
Yes.
And is a creative and funny guy, so
Yeah,
it helps
he
a
is
lot.
good at his job.
So yeah, and I've known several people who are like that. I've been very lucky with the people I get to play with I've gotten to play with over the years. Uh, but yeah, that's seriously, just getting into role playing is both. Again, finding a group is the hardest part, honestly.
Yep. Finding a
And
group is absolutely the hardest part. The second hardest part is scheduling around everyone's schedule.
oh lordy, yes,
Yeah, scheduling around everyone. That's the second hardest part.
that's the hardest part for me. But that's because I have established groups.
Yeah.
I've already done the hard part. But yeah, there is other tabletop gaming out there, though.
Yes.
And that's the other type. One of the other types is what sort of got me thinking about this topic in the first place. Recently, Eric, Gav, and I get together weekly to online to watch anime for the other podcast.
Yep.
And usually between episodes or before we start watching, Eric and Gav spend some time talking about Warhammer 40K.
Because we're both playing it, and we're nerds. So.
And I used to play 40K.
Mm.
But I haven't played
Well, we
since...
don't feel bad having the conversation in front of you. You would have at least a point of reference for what the hell we're talking about.
Exactly. So I still have some of my figs. I sold a bunch of them off because I knew I was probably never going to use them. Like, I sold my Eldar army off because...
Filthy space elves, that's why.
Yeah. I still have my Marines, basically.
Mm.
My Space Marines.
Space Marines.
Yes. And recently I basically was like, I wonder what it would take for me to get back into 40K, basically. Because from what I've been hearing, from YouTube, 8th edition actually doesn't suck, unlike, basically 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 7th for everything I heard about them.
Seventh was the one I had the most problems with, but yeah.
I basically fell out of 40K during 3rd edition. It's been a while. The fact that they're on 8th edition already just blows my fucking mind.
It's not that big of a shift to it, because I was thinking this has been a really long time to be on 8th edition. I was looking back I started looking at the difference in times between the first three. So no, this is about where they should be. I mean, there was that 6th and 7th were 7th basically came out 6 months after 6th as a giant patch, the giant shit show that was 6th. But
Gav's in the chat and says, I haven't played 40K since before he started playing. Yeah, I started playing at the tail end of 2nd and played for a chunk of 3rd. And then I basically stopped playing because I got tired of the system.
Yeah, there was a sort of the I was getting sick of the games workshoppiness of late 3rd, early 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an actual term, games workshoppiness. It should be. It's a technical term in the industry. And that was the exact same time War Machine dropped. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go be giant steam-powered Russians.
Yeah, I remember when the little flyers came out with pictures of the models, and you looking at the Khador figs and going, "Oh my god!"
Yes,
steam-powered Russian robots.
These are so cool. The thing is, my initial lure was to Crix because they had the whole bone and iron thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Then I actually saw the models in person. I fell in love with the Juggernaut.
Right.
I was like, this is just perfect. It's all sloping armor and hulking monstrousness, the giant axe. Yes, I'm in.
Finally sucked me into War Machine myself. I played for a while, basically 1st edition. I stopped playing just because I didn't have time to play for a while.
Yeah.
Right at the end of 1st ed. And what pulled me in was had bought a Signar Warcaster Kane for a model for a tabletop game actually.
Mm. Well, War Machine is a tabletop game. You mean an RPG?
RPG specifically for tabletop RPG. I had a character concept for a Champions game that Kane fit perfectly. He was basically a he was a dude with a pair of Tesla lightning pistols and a Tesla pack that did all sorts of crazy lightning stuff.
Yeah, so that sounds exactly like the Kane model, honestly.
Yeah, it was. I was actually surprised. It's like, holy crap! I've got a model for the. There's a model out there for the guy this character. Sweet. So I bought it, and you guys were playing War Machine. And I was like, I came over. I went over to your guys' place when you guys were playing one night. Watched you guys playing. I was like, crap! This game actually looks good.
Yep.
So I was like, well, I've got a Signar Warcaster already. I guess I'll buy the Signar starter box. And that's how I got into the game, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, getting into tabletop wargaming, assuming you're talking about the miniatures-based game type.
Yeah. There's an investment involved.
There's always an investment involved in tabletop wargaming.
Yes, but this is me using tons and tons of understatement.
Yes. Miniatures wargaming is one of the more expensive tabletop hobbies out there.
Mm. It is, however, an expansive hobby.
It very much is, yes.
Because because you've got building the models, you've got painting the models, you've got building the lists, you've got actually playing the game on a table, you've got building the terrain. It's a very expansive hobby. Plus, there's all the tie-in literature that's going to be out there, and yeah. It can become your only hobby pretty easily.
Oh yeah. And I totally rock that, and it makes a lot of sense to me, honestly.
Yep.
But yeah, getting into it, I'd say step one is to find a game where you think the miniatures look especially cool.
Yeah.
Like that's a big part. It's a big part of it, honestly. Like if you don't like the way the miniatures look, unless the rules really, really speak to you.
Yeah.
But that's because I can say that that's definitely a case because there are tabletop war games that don't use any miniatures. And therefore the rules really have to carry the game.
Yeah.
I say for no reason, not that I have played those a lot. That's not at all how I got into miniatures wargaming, or tabletop wargaming, I should say.
No, not at all.
Technically speaking, I got in through BattleTech, but,
Right.
I played BattleTech for a little while, and then a friend of mine introduced me to Starfleet Battles, and, that was Game, Set, Match.
Yeah, for me, I was looking at, so I started on fantasy, and I was looking at science fiction, Warhammer Fantasy, and I was looking at science fiction options. Like, BattleTech's got giant robots. That's really cool. And oh my god, what is with this guy in high gothic sci-fi plate armor with a giant machine gun and a sword? All right, I'm sold.
Yeah, BattleTech was the other one I played a bunch at the time because giant robots. Stomp, stomp, stomp. But I will say that the 40K figs were actually mostly cooler at the time than the early BattleTech figs. But giant robots spoke to me a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't until 3rd edition 40K I picked up the orcs because I had a Chaos Marine army beforehand. Mm-hmm. And that was around the time where they really solidified the orcs as the batshit insane Mad Max space barbarians. And I never looked back.
Right. But yeah, so getting into here's the thing, finding the game that you want to play is the first step. And no small part of it is going to be, are there people to play with, honestly?
Yes.
That's a large part of the reason that a lot of people get into Games Workshop games Since at this point they're the dominant games out there because there are more people playing than almost anything else. With some caveats, which we'll get to in a second. They're the big dog on the block, and you're going to be able to find you are going to be able to find people to play Warhammer 40K with.
Yeah.
If there's a game store anywhere near you, you will find people to play 40K with. Some other options that you should be able to find people to play with. From what I've understand, the X-Wing game is very popular.
Yep.
And it has the bonus that you don't have to paint the miniatures yourself. Well, it has the potential advantage that you don't have to paint the miniatures yourself.
That's yeah, that is awesome if you don't care about that aspect of it.
Yep.
That's been a large part as to why I haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, I totally like that.
I actively like painting and converting my models and making crazy shit happen. And yeah, also Star Wars is just so rigidly defined.
Yeah,
that's my big problem with both X-Wing and Legion, which is the Star Wars like ground pounder one that came out recently, just this year, I think.
Right.
Also, a lack of factions.
Well, that's the thing. Is it's Empire, Rebels, and Space Scum, basically, from what I understand.
Yeah. When
there's also a fleet starship scale version of X-Wing.
Yep. Armada, I think it's
Armada.
called.
That's what it's. Yeah, Star Wars Armada. I've heard good things about the games. I've not played them. I've not seen them being played.
I've seen them being played. I've heard nothing but good things about them. But yeah, it's not what I'm looking for my hobby.
Sure, I would agree. I totally rock that.
And yeah,
honestly,
I basically got back into 40K because I had been playing tabletop war games a long time. I was really missing it.
Yep.
And the War Machine, what small War Machine crowd there was at my local frame game shops, were insular and not exactly welcoming. They're never insulting, but yeah, it was clearly not a. They just weren't that welcoming, is what it comes down to.
Okay, that's too bad.
Yeah, which is sad. But like I've got back into 40K when 8th edition started because Games Workshop knew exactly how to pull me in. I'm certain that was their plan. This giant international corporation clearly decided they needed to get me personally back into their hobby. So they released a side game called Armageddon Shadow War, which is a like squad level skirmish game based on one of their previous games, Necromunda, which I loved. Except it opened it up to the entire 40K universe instead of just gangs in one hive or in one city. So I got to bring my orcs into Necromunda, basically. So I was all over that, which is how I found the group, the game club that I'm playing with now. And they were all really cool and welcoming, and they were like, yes, you should totally play 8th edition when it comes out. And I'm like, I don't know. It might suck. No, you should check it out. It's not going to suck. Doesn't look like it sucks. Fuck you, Games Workshop. Okay.
So yeah, basically step one is find a game that you think looks potentially interesting and has a group of people you can play with, and they seem like people you want to play games with.
Yes.
This is important.
Like the old like win at all costs. We'll cheat and be a dick and make fun of you for not having the optimal thing. Yeah. Screw that guy. I'm not playing against that guy.
Sure. We have both played against that guy.
Yep.
And they were not very welcomed in the particular group of people playing 40K at the time.
Yeah.
In fact, they were generally roundly mocked. God, that guy! Oh my God, you remember who I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
I don't remember his name. I don't care to remember his name. Oh my God. Ugh. But yeah. So yeah, we 40K. So you find a game that you want to get into, and so the next step then is, how do you actually get into it? And there are several approaches, in my opinion. 40K in particular, GW's
Yeah.
actually okay. So the hobby is expensive. Let's just say this. Get this out of the way right up front.
Yes.
Almost any miniatures war game you want to get into is going to cost you significant amounts of money up front.
Yeah. There are ways to mitigate this.
Yes.
Looking at eBay, so much easier now that eBay exists.
This is true.
The company itself will often have starter sets with great deals for the miniatures involved because they want to get you hooked and bring you in.
Yep. Both Games Workshop and Privateer Press for War Machine have fantastic starter sets.
Yep.
Uh,
Gav mentions the start collecting boxes,
yep.
which are just. I did the math on one of them, and it was like a nearly 50% discount.
Yep.
On the stuff inside.
Oh god, I remember looking at the 2-player battle boxes for War Machine.
Yeah.
And being blown away by the pricing on them.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Like Jesus Christ, that. But yeah.
I started a Gene Steeler Cult army for 40K last year technically.
Yep.
And most of how I got my army was I bought a board game that Games Workshop put out that had simplified models for the army I wanted, a bunch of them. So I bought that. I bought some stuff in eBay, and I traded some other stuff for other things. And bang, I had a Gene Steeler Cult army. The barter system is your friend in these cases.
Yeah, you're gonna want the starter boxes for your army are generally gonna be where you are, where you're gonna want to start, and they're Games Workshop has done it from what I understand, done a pretty damn good job of identifying stuff you want at the core of your army and putting it into the box.
Yep. Now, these still aren't cheap, and Games Workshop might be good at giving you deals for your starter box, but they're still one of the more expensive miniatures companies there.
Generally speaking, they tend to have more figs per battle than most of the other games.
Yep.
Because a lot of the other miniatures war games
are yeah. A lot of the other miniature games, I keep on talking over you, I'm sorry.
Sorry, don't worry about it.
A lot of the other miniature games are typically smaller scale than 40K.
Yep, they're sort of skirmish level.
Yeah, particularly if you're an idiot like me and decide to do a horde army. And their models are... I hate to say it because sometimes they just go nuts with over-designing things and just stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. But overall, they're still the best-looking models in the out there in for the industry.
They've got some of the best sculptors, and their tech for producing the models is really good.
Yeah, their tech is way that they're basically on the bleeding edge for miniature producing tech.
Yeah, like Reaper, you can get really cheap figs from the company Reaper because they have several lines where they 3D print the stuff, which makes it much cheaper. But the models tend to be slightly lower detail level. Which
Privateer's plastic stuff is also, they've been getting better about it from what I understand, but their plastics have been traditionally crap.
Yep. And there are a ton of other small skirmish level games out there. I don't remember the names of them, honestly. But, if you got a group of people who are playing them at your local game store and they seem like cool people and the game speaks to you, you're going to have to ask them what to get, in particular what to get to start with. But most miniatures game companies have starter sets for each of their armies to give you a core set of figures to start playing with.
Yeah. And any miniatures company is going to do that.
I can't think of one that doesn't off the top of my head, but,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, if you find an army and someone else plays that army, ask them what they think about the army. Ask them what they think would be a good a good thing to pick up.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, talk to the other players that you're going to be playing with. Find out what they think about stuff. And you may not end up agreeing with them, but it's a silly good point of reference.
Yeah.
You're going to want a copy of the rulebook for yourself. I'm going to say this right now. And my biggest piece of advice for anybody who wants to play miniatures war games, any type of war game, read the fucking manual.
Yes, read the book. Read the fucking book.
Seriously.
Have someone teach you the rules so you understand how they interact.
But read the book.
Yeah, but read the book yourself. Absolutely.
This is. I mean, again, I got into really got into tabletop wargaming through Starfleet Battles, where this is actually more important than in any other game I have ever played. And it has that rule of thumb has served me so well in the 20+ years I've been playing tabletop war games. Because understanding how the rules work helps so much in actually just playing the game. It means you don't have to spend as much time remembering how shit works, and can focus on what you want to do to advance the game in your favor.
Yeah.
And you can spend more time.
It is a competitive game, and
right.
I hate to point this out. It's a competitive game. Even if you're just doing you're playing against someone, and there are going to be people out there that'll take advantage of your ignorance.
Yes, I hate to say it, but you're right.
It's a sad truism. So yeah, especially if you're new to that community and you just haven't been warned off of them yet.
Right. But no, seriously, read the book, learn the rules. Honestly, it means that if you know the rules and understand and have them sort of filed away in the back of your head, you have more time to spend just having fun with the game.
Yes.
While you're playing.
The thing is, especially when you're playing something like 40K with so many different factions that all work differently.
Yep.
Because you need to at least understand how your faction works.
Yes.
So the other guy can't be expected to know how it works unless he also has that army.
Right. But you understanding how the core mechanics of the game works means that when your opponent tells you how something works for their army, it will make sense to you.
Yes.
So, I cannot emphasize enough, read the fucking rules. The rules are your friend, learn them. And, honestly, if rules conflicts come up, just, talk about them in a, if two of you disagree in interpretation of the rule, be civil about it. Just, don't get worked up about it. Just talk about it. And
also,
work it out.
If there's someone else, who plays the game nearby, ask them to arbitrate.
Yes.
Hey, is this how it works? Kind of deal. Most people will answer yes or no. You do it this way.
Also, here's my other thing: if you guys can't come up with if it's taking a long time to figure out how it works, come up with an interpretation for that game. Go forward, and then figure it out afterwards. Don't bog down during the game trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And oh my god, Games Workshop has this for an actual fucking rule. It's because they have historically been kind of fuzzy about their rule writing.
Yep.
But if you can't come to a decision, dice off for it.
Yep. Play it out that way for the rest of the game.
Someone else, you don't have someone more knowledgeable nearby. You don't, or you just can't come to a discussion, a reasonable compromise between the two of you. Just dice off for it.
Dice off for it, and go with that. Go with the interpretation you rolled, that you randomly determined which one of your two people's interpretation was correct. Go with that for the rest of the game. Worry about the actual how it actually supposed to work afterwards.
Yes, after the game, you can look it up. Check the fact, or ask someone else. Go online. It's okay, cool.
I mean, I will also say though, in the various war games I played, I mean, I have on a few occasions stumbled across that we've been playing, our group has been playing X rule wrong for a while, and I'll just let everyone know, hey, I was just reading the rules. This is what I came across. I'll like via email with the group usually, and say, "This is cool. This is how it works. This is how it actually works." And everyone, usually it's a case of, "Oh wow, fuck, that's how." Like especially between edition changes.
Yes.
Like that happened when I was playing Babylon 5 Wars. We were basically there's one particular weapon type that worked a certain way in the first edition of the game, and it changed in second edition. And we were playing it by the way it worked in first edition because we didn't think they were going to actually change the way that gun that worked. We just didn't assume they didn't significantly change the mechanics of the game. And I was reading through the rules one night, and I was like, oh fuck. I should tell everybody, hey guys, pulse cannons work like this. And everyone was like, wait, what? Oh dear.
I've also had the like, oh, we're both wrong. Okay.
Oh, that happened.
That happens a lot, actually.
That happens a lot in Games Workshop games.
Less so with this edition, so partially because things have been simplified a bit.
Sure.
And Games Workshop's been like really good about getting on top of shit with their facts.
Good.
And erratas and stuff. They're really good about being on top of that. You no longer have to wait 2 or 3 years for something to come out.
Oh, Lordy.
It's usually a couple weeks.
That's good. That's real good. But yeah, like seriously, the FAQ and errata are your friends also.
Yep.
Games Workshop
and much easier to find now thanks to the internet.
Yes. God, that used to be they used to publish that in like the chapter approved books and shit.
Yep.
You have to wait to actually have that easy access to it, you have to wait for that shit to come out. The chapter approved stuff to come out. Oh.
Chapter approved stuff, or like in a White Dwarf, you didn't have that copy of White Dwarf, you're shit out of luck.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, I speaking of the whole sort of keeping learning the rules and sort of thing. One of the guys we used to play 40K with would actually go through and use those sticky flags and highlight various passages in the rule book to have it so you can quickly reference it. And he would never bust out unless someone was being a complete dickhead in arguing the rules in their favor that was wrong. And he'd then pull out his book, flip to the page, and point at the actual wording.
Yes. I remember one person did come back after that.
And that guy was a total chode. Holy crap.
Yep.
I remember he was telling a great story about doing that at a grand tournament. Where this dude was just going on about how it had to do with bikes. I forget the exact bikes and cover saves or something like that.
Yeah.
And the guy pulled out the book, pointed at it, the guy kept arguing. So he called it over an outrider. Not outrider.
What if the tournament organizers were called? They had a particular name.
Yeah. And they called it outrider. I was like, yeah, that's how it's written in the book. That's exactly how it works. Why are you arguing with him? It's in the freaking it's in English there. Right there.
I had a similar. Yeah, I remember having a similar incident during one of the big worldwide campaigns where someone was. It had something to do with orc burnas, and had to do with because they used to get an extra die for armor penetration against vehicles, which only makes sense to some people in the chat. The other guy was insisting that this wasn't true. I held open the book. He's like, no, it's written right here in my codex, right there. No way. Dude, come over here. Is this right? Well, it's right there in the codex. They haven't facted that to my knowledge, so yeah, go for it. Okay. He was livid. I did not feel bad about killing everyone inside every one of his freaking rhinos.
Oh, is that the one where you actually surrounded his rhinos so they couldn't get out?
Yep.
So they couldn't bail out of the rhinos when you blew them up.
Yep. That was something that used to be called the Rhino Rush Army, whereas basically you stuck all of your guys inside these troop transport tanks, and you gun it towards the enemy lines, then jump out and charge as quickly as you can. Which is really scary the first time you see it. And was actually really tough to beat unless you were really fast and knew what you were doing, and I played Speed Freaks. So.
Right.
It's like, no, you're not getting out of these rhinos. Screw you.
No, I'm going to trap you in your boxes and set them on fire. That doesn't seem very sporting. Too bad.
We're green space barbarians. We are not sporting. Still
Uh,
lost that game because his Tau allies blew the fuck out of us, but that's okay. I
uh,
remember that because I was like, okay, because I was teamed up with this Chaos player I'd never played with before, whereas these two other guys I hadn't met before. And I look at the table, it's like, okay, and he's like, I don't know how to deal with that Rhino Rush. I can deal with the Rhino Rush, but the Tau player will wipe me out afterwards. You have to be able to take him. Can you take him? Yeah, I can take him. You couldn't take him.
oh,
The Tau player was really good.
that happens. Oh well. So yeah, honestly, as we said though, I the other thing, like the other type of tabletop wargaming out there, there are tabletop war games that don't involve miniatures. They generally
Yeah.
involve maps with hexagons on them and little cardboard counters. Uh,
Yes. I don't dig those largely because, god damn it, this is such a great opportunity to have a little dude running around.
you're really big into the visual aspect of it. I'm
really big in the visual aspect,
and that's
and I
totally
love miniatures. I really do.
I totally grok. I like miniatures a lot too, but given that's sort of how I got into the hobby, I really dig them,
Right.
and a lot of those games have very intricate rules, and I really do appreciate that. Like a part of me really does. And I get why some people don't. Like I totally get why some people don't like how complicated those rules get. And they're not for everybody. But I will say, I mean, I played a lot of Starfleet Battles, which is a Star Trek spaceship combat simulation game, and simulation is intentionally part of the word there. Uh,
Yeah, it's I played some Star. I played it. It made my head explode.
there's
It was just
a lot of math you got to do.
a lot of math. It's really fiddly. And all I want to do is just ram the motherfucking Enterprise with my D7. Why can't I just ram the motherfucking Enterprise?
Because space is big, Eric.
Are you telling me that popular science fiction series have been lying to me?
Yes.
That's impossible.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, what do we'll do? I mean, then how are we going to interact with the Klingons when they show up?
You shoot them.
And the Martians? How are we going to deal with the Martians? What's our plan for dealing with the Martians?
You shoot them. You
They
have,
have tripods.
Eric, you have torpedoes that are loaded with antimatter. You shoot them with the antimatter torpedoes.
It's not nearly as much fun as ramming and then boarding.
Kaboom! I will say,
Battlefield Gothic.
oh,
Let's
God.
have Eric play it. Let's make a space combat game for Eric,
Yeah,
and then make his faction terrible.
I'm so sorry, Eric. But yeah, Starfleet Battles is, if you like detailed, fiddly, nuanced rules, where knowing like and having incremental advantages in like knowing exactly when you're going to move in relation to your opponent and like one hex different positioning and hex side facing mattering and like little sort of differences in how you allocate your power mattering a lot. This game is for you.
Yeah,
If
it
all that
is
level of
not
detail
my
does
bag,
not
but
speak to you, it's probably not for you, despite it being Star Trek.
yeah. No, it's not my bag, despite it being Star Trek, and I love
And
me some
I
Star Trek.
totally understand that.
And I totally understand the appeal of it, also.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
purely gamer's point of view, like I totally understand like the crunchiness and the granularity and like every decision mattering. Like
Every
for
little
turns and
decision
turns.
matters in
Yeah.
Starfleet Battles. Like, oh my god. Like literally, keeping track of when someone makes a turn like matters
Yeah.
because they might have done something there. Like, oh god,
And I really thought that was my bag, but I quickly learned that I'm much more of an instinctual infighter when it comes to war games
sure.
than I am like someone who plans things out like
Mhm.
for turns and turns and turns. There's still some planning involved. It's not like I don't set traps or try to fake out my opponent
Sure.
or have a plan. But
Well, you want
It's
the
always
game
really
to flow
quick.
more quickly. Also, I mean,
Yes.
and that's totally fair. There are some games that are more middle groundy.
Yep.
The sadly no longer in print Starfleet Babylon 5 Wars
Yep.
strikes more of a middle ground than that. There's much less pre-planning, but it still has sort of the carefully plotted hex-based movement and the which side of your ship's getting shot at and firing arcs weapons mattering a lot. And tracking each ship's damage, where they're taking the damage individually matters.
Yep.
And
I like that stuff, but there's
I
like that stuff. I really do.
You just
But
wish
at
that
the
it
same
was more.
time-
It was more automated.
Yes, I wish it was a little bit more automated. Not because it's mostly counting down ammo that I have a problem with.
Yeah, I totally grok that.
Because I like making sure I'm getting someone on a particular flank, and then like doing damage to that, or firing arcs and all that stuff. That's cool. It's also like I enjoy different flavors of tabletop war games.
Mhm.
Like there's a reason why I like BattleTech, because it's got all of that stuff. 40K is much more. I want it to be much more free flowing and like have opportunities for just absolutely batshit insanity. Because, dude, there are Kamen Rider cosplaying OCD space elves with chainsaw swords.
Yeah, and giant hive mind bug monsters that are trying to eat everybody. And
There are soccer
robotic
hooligan fungus gorillas in Mad Max cars.
and robotic space skeletons that are trying to murder the universe.
And an entire like machine cult that's transhumanism gone wrong, but in the opposite direction you'd think it would.
There's so much about 40K that's really cool.
It's so beautifully, deadly serious and utterly absurd that it's just this is perfect alchemy.
There are some elements of the setting that I think are problematic.
Yes.
And GW seems to be moving away from them of late.
Yes.
And, I totally grok why. The writing of the rules right now are not young person friendly, in my opinion. Not the rules, the flavor is not young person friendly right now.
Well, it never really has been.
I would say it's fine. It's always been fine for teenagers, but for the most part. But there's a lot of murder fuckery. And when I say fuckery, I mean fucking, not like, screwing, not like, I mean literal.
Like there is sex and then there is murder.
Yeah.
That's always
and
Slanesh. That's always been an aspect of it.
Yeah, for a while it got really sort of uncomfortably rapey though.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Like to the point where I'm like, like there's hedonism and then there's where Slanesh went to for a long while.
Yeah, Slanesh is always best when it's the batshit insane glam rocker, as opposed to John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy, yeah. I think it's Gacy, actually.
Is it Gacy?
I think it's...
Whatever, the guy who lured young boys to his place so he could, like, rape them and then eat them.
Yeah. So, yeah, GW seems to be backing off that aspect of the setting, and I think that's probably for the best long term. But, I mean, I also am not someone who gets worked up by the fact that the Slaneshi demons occasionally have tits. Exposed tits.
Slaneshi demons should have tits.
I mean, like, if you're getting worked up about the sexy parts of it, that are actually just, like, sexy parts, and are not worked up about the fact that people are, like, there's like, torture murder going on. Bart Damon says, isn't that kind of the point of Slanesh excess at its darkest? Kinda?
Except Slanesh is always best when it's seductive, as opposed to rapey.
It's really, really, really uncomfortably, like, I don't want, like... I honestly, like, I have real issues with the 40K setting, especially given that I have real issues with a lot of the people who play 40K, honestly, and are really into the setting. Like, not everybody, but there are a lot of people who really don't get
There's
the
a
fact
very
that,
vocal minority who are just batshit insane, take it way too seriously, and don't see the humor in it.
and also don't see the fact that it is, in fact, satire.
Yeah.
Like... I'm going to say this right now, and if you disagree with me, you're factually wrong. There are no good guys in 40K. I'm going to say this right now.
That everybody's bad, really, really bad. They're bad. they're bad.
There are no good guys in 40k. If you think there's a good guy faction in 40k, you are actually factually wrong. I'm sorry. If that's a problem for you, that's understandable.
Yeah, no, I totally understand not wanting to be the bad guys, and then finding out everybody's the bad guys.
Yeah.
I always thought the bad guys were really personally, but I'm also the guy that was rooting for Cobra.
Well, I rooted for Cobra too because they had cooler stuff when I was a kid.
They really did. Dude, the fucking treble bubbles.
Dude, their main plane was an A-10 Warthog, Eric.
Yes. They had killer robots. The battle android troopers.
Yep. So yeah, but I also acutely aware that they are the bad guys, and they are not the heroes of the story. I think they look cool. They have cooler shit. Like their voice actors are more interesting generally.
Yep.
I didn't get that at the time because I was like 10. That was like I didn't intellectually get that. Going back and yeah, their voice actors did more interesting stuff. Huh, interesting. So yeah, I'm glad they're backing off a bit. The current origin story for Slaanesh in the 40k universe is excessively dark, in my opinion.
It was always like that, though, as part of the satire.
Yeah, but it was never as explicitly stated what exactly happened.
Right.
And then they did, and
Here's my feeling on the Slaanesh problem, quotation marks.
Yes.
Is that all that dark, nasty shit is part of an aspect of both the setting and that particular faction, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
But you can put a better face on it and let you dig for that spooky shit.
I think honestly, it was always implied, but I like the fact that it was implied before.
Yes, like I said, you had to dig for it,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's the way to do it. Like you have to dig for it, and that's like it's rewarding you depending on how you feel about that for digging into the faction. Kind of like the most egregious stuff with the Imperium of Mankind is in the background and at the forefront, and you have to dig for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have issues with the 40k setting. I always have, though. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think it is just so comically. I've always felt the 40k setting is honestly actively stupid.
It's kind of intentionally so.
It is, but
and I love it for that.
I get that. I totally do. But like
it's not called grimdark because it's like the flowers are a slightly darker shade of pink. It's called grimdark because it is like a darkety dark, grim to the point that it's hilarious.
Not my cup of tea as a setting, but I have enjoyed the game anyways. But yeah, it's a setting where war is the default state of everybody, and that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I didn't want to spend as much time talking about the settings again as today for obvious reasons.
We're getting into it.
Well, it's not just that; it's also we've got a topic. I mean,
no, that's what I meant. The topic is getting into it.
Yes, right. But the flavor matters for getting into a game for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So.
Like the flavor, the how the faction is presented, all of that matters to people. Like. Yeah, my old Chaos army was the Emperor's Children. That's because I looked at the Noise Marine models at the time, which are these like ornate, hunchback, skull-faced lunatics with guitar guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. What are these things? How are these so? What are these ridiculous, awesome things? Oh my God, they're genetically engineered super soldiers that have fallen to an evil god of excess and pleasure, and now they play heavy metal at their enemies till their heads explode. This is the best thing.
See, I am totally down with that aspect of Slaanesh. That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
I'm just like, that is the best thing. This is my army. And then they Mad Maxified the orcs. I'm like, all right, I'm on board with the orcs. Not looking back on that. Woo! What do you mean they have a gun that teleports rabid space rhesus monkeys into people's pants? That's the best thing ever.
The shock attack gun. The orcs are very, very strange.
I love the orcs so much.
I understand why. But yeah, getting into but you're back to the counters and hex grid games. They're actually, in terms of what you need to get into them, much more approachable than the miniatures games.
Yeah. The initial investment is friggin' nil compared to, say,
you need the base, you need the rule books, and let me just say this again: you need the rule books. Did I mention you need the rule books? Okay, you need the rule books. And remember what I said about you read the fucking rule book for 40K or miniatures war games? Multiply that by about 100 for these games. You need to know the rules. The rules are king. And beyond that, you'll need the appropriate dice, and the appropriate type of hex map, and the counters. You're done. Oh, and paper and pencils.
Yeah. Yeah, they are stupendously inexpensive compared to
in comparison.
The
Yeah.
They also don't have that expensive hobby aspect of them.
They don't.
Like that. It is just the game. That is all there is to it. You are not building terrain for it because the terrain's included on the hex map. You're not applying your own flair to the army because you're not building the army like with your hands.
No.
The individual models, you're not deciding. All these guys should have berets. Let me get some sculpting putty and put berets on all of them.
No. Where all your mental energy is going is into thinking about how the game plays and how you can play it better. And
right.
I mean, I have heard Starfleet battles being compared to chess, and it's not the most inaccurate statement. It is more akin to chess than it is to 40K.
Yes.
It's less random than 40K. It is. Let me reiterate. It is so much less random than 40K.
Yes.
There is a random element, and it's important. But oh my god, you can definitely mitigate how much randomness is going to affect you by how you approach things. And how you do stuff, and how you position yourself and maneuver.
Yes. 40K is a bit better at mitigating the randomness.
Sure, than it used to be.
They've addressed that, like, that kind of batshit insane randomness can be a major detriment to people, so we need to cut back on it a bit, but it's still fairly random.
But, again, like, there's a lot... You're throwing a lot of dice in 40K.
Yeah, you're throwing a lot of dice. And you can do the math and figure out, like, what am I know what I need to roll on these dice to achieve this goal, and how many I'm rolling, and how many successes I need on those dice for my guys to do what I need them to do. Is this a good move? That kind of deal. But yeah, it's still like you could still roll like 36 ones out of your 35 attacks.
It's possible.
It's extremely unlikely, but it's possible.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that sort of is getting into these games. Basically, is involved to sort of summarize what we're talking about. Though, I mean, getting into these games, tabletop games in general, the first thing you're going to have to do is find a group of people to play with. It's just how it goes, and that might be a group of friends you have that all of you are interested in getting into a game together, and that's cool. Or maybe you want to try to play the type of game you want to play online, and you just find a group. You can find people online usually, or you can find people who are playing at your local game store. You can occasionally discover a group of people who you might want to play these games with at gaming conventions.
Yep.
Um, Finding the group is the first step, honestly.
It's always the first step. Like you need other
Well,
people to play.
I
these
will
games.
say for the miniatures wargaming, the first step might be you picking up buying models for an army that you want to collect and paint the models because you think you'd enjoy painting and collecting the models, even if you weren't
Yes.
going to be playing the game.
Probably. I mean, that's how I got into Warhammer Fantasy.
Yep.
Was I saw the Skaven models, and I was like, oh, these are really cool because I had just discovered what miniatures were. In middle school, I thought these are really cool. I wanted to buy them to have, and then I saw that you're expected to paint them, so I started painting them, and then I saw there was a game attached to all these rat guys I had, so I thought they were cool. I was like, oh, cool! I should totally learn to play this game, and that's how it started with me.
Yeah. I got into Fantasy Battle because I bought a bunch of orc models for a D&D game I was running.
Yep.
And I knew Fantasy Battle existed at that point. Like, I knew it existed, and I bought these models because I thought they were great orc models. And then I knew people were playing, and I'd started playing Necromunda a little bit before that because, unlike most of miniatures war games at the time, it was cheap and approachable.
Mm.
You needed like a dozen figures tops.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. And so I played Necromunda, and then I started playing Fantasy Battle because, like, a bunch of people I played Necromunda with played Fantasy Battle, and I was like, oh, I should try. And I watched them play, and like, this seems like a good game. I had some orc models already, so I bought orcs and goblins, and that's how I played orcs and goblins in Fantasy Battle. And then my brother quit playing and gave me his dwarf army, and I fell in love with the dwarves.
Goddamn stunties.
Mm-hmm.
Toughness 4 and heavy armor artillery crews. It's fucking cheating.
Also, weapon skill 4.
Yeah, what the hell? When I sack an artillery crew, I should be sacking the artillery crew, not having them run off my ninja rats.
It's always so
Doesn't
satisfying.
happen regularly against Peter.
That's what you get when you underestimate dwarves. Even the most schmucko of the schmucko dwarf is actually good at fighting.
Yes.
The dwarves were not the most broken army in Fantasy Battle for a number of reasons.
not by far.
They were. I will say this: one of the reasons I loved 6th edition is the dwarves were finally competitive.
Yeah.
Because before 6th edition, the dwarves basically just got blasted off the field by magic. There was almost they could not magic heavy armies just killed them.
They didn't have a real defense against magic, and they were slow. They were always slow, but
dwarves were good. Dwarves got good in 6th edition. They got a few things that changed. They changed about the dwarves. They gave them better access to ways to defend themselves against magic. They dialed magic back a bit for most armies, to a degree. The most broken magic in the game turned out was broken because it was good at screwing other magic users over. And the dwarves looked at it and said, "Oh, you're using high magic, huh? That's cute.
That's adorable.
Drain magic." Okay. We got cannons with runes on them.
Oh.
And organ guns. Organ guns.
Terrifying organ guns. Meanwhile, that was when Skaven just actually got broken.
Oh god. Yeah, the Skaven shooting army of death. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Fucking rattling guns.
I never really leaned into it, but yeah. It was pretty easy to see how just unfun fighting against a Skaven shooting army could be.
Fucking rattling guns. Holy fuck.
They're so cool, which is why I had 2 of them instead of the dozen most people were running at the time.
I think it was only a half dozen, but still.
I think you're right. I think it was about a half dozen. I think I was exaggerating slightly.
It felt like a dozen.
Yeah.
But once you got a group, look for what you need. Look for the starter sets for the war games, and find the one that ties in the army that appeals to you the most. Get that. Ideally, either get it from your local game store or get it cheap on eBay or something like that.
Yeah. As much as I support, I'm all for supporting your local game store. When you're just getting started, look for deals on eBay, because it will break you otherwise.
Yep.
You can start best once you're playing, and you have a good base of an army. You can start buying other shit from the local game store, and supporting them that way. But yeah, like it can be expensive, and getting the core stuff is what you got to do. You got to do it cheap, or it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Like I'll say this flatly. If I don't think I would even realistically consider getting back into 40K if I didn't have a core of a Marine army already.
Yep. Yeah, that was what got me back into 40K. Was the rules didn't suck, and I had these orcs gathering dust.
I will say I would consider, if I was getting it into a cold right now, I'd probably pick up Tau, because the Tau fit a lot of the way I like approaching war games.
Mm.
They have long range guns that hit hard. I approve of this. I like
And
shooting
robot
things.
Suits.
Yeah, and they have robot dudes.
Which is pretty cool. I will admit. I mean, if those robots punch things better, I'd probably also play Tau. But they don't. So
Yeah,
I'll go with the crazy body horror that is
end.
the Genestealer cult, and the batshit insanity that is the orcs.
I've got nothing but admiration for the Speed Freaks. I'll say this flatly. I think the Speed Freaks are freaking cool.
And I'm really if the rumors are right, Speed Freaks will not just be like a joke anymore. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
If the rumors are right. There are a lot of rumors flying around of what's coming up with for the upcoming Orc Codex. And a good number of them have been confirmed as being on the low end of the estimates of goodness. or just correct. So, we'll find out. Can't wait for October.
Understandable. So I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you all found this entertaining and or useful. We normally save time during each episode to answer a few viewer questions. We do have a few emails from y'all, but we don't have time to get to them tonight. But if you do have viewer questions you'd like us to answer on the show, you can email them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Or you can post them in the comments section on YouTube, where I do upload the recordings after the after we're done recording. Usually a day after we record. If you've got feedback for us, ways we can make the show better, constructive criticism, dear God, we love getting that shit. Send it to us. Same email address.
Absolutely.
Yep. If you've got show topic suggestions, oh motherfucker, do we love show topic suggestions? Oh boy, do we love show topic suggestions.
Those really are the best thing.
That way we can figure out what we want to talk about sooner, because we don't have to come up with an idea on our own, and it means we get to talk about what you guys want to hear us talk about. I like to pretend that the latter is the more important of those two.
It's not. The most important is that we don't have to do work.
We're very lazy.
It's true.
And yeah, it's the same email address. We record the show most Monday nights starting at about 7 p.m. Eastern here on twitch.tv/mechagm. And as I said, I upload the recordings to YouTube usually the day after. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you to the live audience. We love you guys. Yeah, that's going to do it for this week. We will probably be back next week. We're probably won't be done with the anime for the next episode of 3 Minute Anime this weekend. We're only just in the double digits of episodes on the show, and it's a 25 episode series.
Yeah, we've been pretty distracted lately. Plus, other things have been coming up, and
Yeah, I mean, also we've not been able to watch on a couple of weekends because I've been busy.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys had fun, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you, everybody. Have a great
period of time.
Week. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.